welcome back to a new episode to the Moms. I'm your host, Amaris, and today I am going to be doing part 6 of our series In My Son's World. This is where I provide updates about my son who's on the spectrum, our journey, our life, his progress, kind of all the things, and hopes it helps someone out there who is following the show or is new to the show, new to an autism diagnosis. So if you have not heard parts 1 through 5, I encourage you to listen to them. Kathy's taking a little break today. She is in full nesting mode. She's due in a couple of weeks, like I think in a month or less than a month at this point. So she's in full nesting mode. So she'll be back next week for an episode. I did not want season 2. Is this season 2 or season 3? No, this is season 2. I didn't want season 2 to end before I provided an update just because it's been a couple of months now. It's November and it's been 3 months of school. So I wanted to give you an update on that, our doctor's appointments, our progress, and all the things. So let's get started. I last left off how kindergarten was good. He is fully potty trained. That's still the case. We haven't had any regressions, which is great. He still has inclusion opportunities in school. So with kindergarten, he was in self-contained autism support class, and his inclusion opportunities included 15 minutes of morning meeting and I believe 15 minutes in the afternoon, I think during their like choice play or quiet play. I forget what type of play it was in kindergarten, but he had that opportunity. And this school year, first grade, still in self-contained autism support classroom. His inclusion opportunity last month started with recess and eating in the cafeteria with the general education first graders. And obviously, I think any parent there would have concerns, like, is my son going to get bullied in the cafeteria? Because, I don't know, growing up, cafeteria days, that's where most kids got bullied because there's not really supervision in the cafeteria, or at least the school that I went to. So a lot of like messiness was like happening in these cafeterias. So when we heard he was going to eat lunch with the general education, my heart sank, but I also know he's in a school where they don't tolerate bullying and they're very inclusive. So I did get good news. Like when he entered the cafeteria, the teacher said that an aide goes with him, and he's also going with another student. So my son's not going by himself. The aide said he walked in and everyone was so happy to see him. It was like he was a little celebrity. Everyone wanted to sit next to him. And that makes my mom heart so happy because you see all these stories how some children on the spectrum or even with a disability, they get bullied and they don't have friends in their general education classroom. So for students, for first graders, they're like, what, 6, 7-year-olds, not fighting, but kind of like wanting to sit with my son makes me super happy. Like my heart is so warm. I'm trying not to cry. No parent wants their child bullied in school. Okay, that's like a baseline. But when your child has a disability and they're not included in your regular typical classroom, that fear heightens. So to hear that these kids were so welcoming makes my heart warm. So that's what's going on with his inclusion opportunities of last month. There was also, and then he also had recess time as well with the bigger kids. And like that makes me nervous too because I believe it's on like the bigger playground. And just, again, recess is another place where all bullying happens. But with my son, that's not the case. And that makes me very happy to know. So that was last month. Starting today is November. He is now going to have inclusion opportunities in 3 encore classes: gym, music, and art. When we got the message last week, I'll read the exact message, because the way the teacher wrote it, I'm like gonna cry. I'm like I don't want to cry in this episode. I don't want to cry. But the way the teacher um worded it, it was kind of just phenomenal. She said, I want to let you know that starting Monday, your son will be attending encore classes, music, art, and gym with a big first grade class. He will have an educational assistant going with him for support, and there's also another kid in his classroom that would be going as well. The last thing she said, I'm gonna try not to cry. This is a great opportunity for inclusion for Thane. And it is, because what his IEP team, what we're all trying to do is to get him on a pathway where he doesn't need special education. When your child is in an self-contained classroom, they're put on a modification academics. Sometimes they're not in the line of getting a high school diploma. And having my son have inclusion opportunities like these encore classes, that's just setting him up to see how well he can do in an inclusion classroom where there's 2 teachers teaching the class, and or to see how he does in general education. My son is young. He's, in first grade, but I want to make sure that he graduates with a high school diploma. So having these inclusion opportunities provides that gateway for him to graduate with a high school diploma and not a certificate of completion. I'm very new to this, so from my understanding, that's why some of these kids on disabilities like autism, they continue going to school until they're like 21 or 22 because they're on a modified path, but sometimes they don't graduate with a high school diploma. So that's just my biggest concern as he ages: is he going to get a high school diploma? Is he able to? That's the number one question. Is he able to get a high school diploma? And if he's not, then like, what are we going to do? These are like everyday worries I know as parents with children on disabilities have. And I'm glad I have this podcast to share. If your child is doing well and self-contained and you want to explore the idea of your child having inclusion opportunities, do so. It could be as simple as 15 minutes a day in the general education classrooms or activity or something. It can be done. It's if the school district, if the principal is willing to, if their staff, like his inclusion opportunities for this year didn't start right away in September because it was a staffing issue, and those are things you have to come to terms with. Like sometimes it's out of their hands. You can't give a child what they need if they're understaffed. But as soon as they got a staff, they started inclusion immediately. So I am grateful for their dedication and like getting things done. I think that's all with inclusion opportunities that he's getting. He's doing amazing in his self-contained classroom. I am room parent, as I mentioned before, so I did have the Halloween party, and just being there for an hour, I was there for like a solid hour. I was so exhausted. I can't imagine being a special education teacher or even an educational assistant or a teacher's assistant and having to do that, 6 or 7 hours or maybe 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. The work is very tasking. On the classroom, and I felt like I was used to it too, because at home is how the classroom was. Like, you're constantly making sure everyone's okay. You're like looking like, what are they doing? Like, it was nice to kind of see the teacher lead the classroom and the assistants just there also like helping and like wanting to help redirecting, and it just felt so ease. Like, they were so happy to do anything, honestly. um I guess what I'm going off track, but what I'm trying to say, it just felt good to see like what I do at home is being done in the classroom. I would also note my son was a little rambunctious. I mean, he's also rambunctious at home too, but that little boy, we're gonna work very hard on turn taking because I know he has the words and the capabilities to say my turn, please, but he also has like the attitude and the personality is just like my way. Like, okay, sit down. And I don't know, maybe it's me, maybe it's my personality, because my daughter is like that too. So I don't know. Maybe it's a reflection of myself. I need to do something, but it's not like in a rude way. Like, don't take this as like, wow, your child might be the bully. No, it's not. It's not. It's not like that at all. Okay, but he's doing good. Um, trying to think. There was one thing that the teacher did right after the holiday, not the holiday party, the Halloween party, that I thought was cool. So, to kind of like decompress the students or just to get back to routine, she has the kids, every student, they have like a task chart. And there's 3 tasks, low demand tasks that they have to do. It's as simple as counting to 5. Now put your stuff away. Grabbing pegs, sticking 5 pegs. My son does like the whole board because he has to complete everything. And then something else would be like do a simple 3-row matching of something. Okay, you're done. Now let's move forward with what I actually need to teach you and what you actually need to do in the classroom. I really like that. I sat next to my son, which he tried to kick me out of his classroom during the Halloween party because he thought I was picking him up to take him home and he didn't want to leave. So that tells me a lot. Like, he legit grabbed my hand and said, "Bye, mommy," walked me to the door. And I looked at him and I said, "I'm here for your Halloween party. I got the stuff." And he was like, "Bye, mommy." Like, it makes me very happy. He loves being in school. So that's another good sign. You always have to pay attention to your child's body language because body language tells you a lot. So once we got over that hump, he let me sit next to him and he was so proud to show me all these little tasks that he was doing. Like, the smile on his face was like, "You see, I did that. I did that." And I was like, "You did it. Good job." It was just nice. It was very nice. So I look forward to going back in school to do the holiday party. So, if you guys have any ideas, you guys have to let me know because I want it to be a little funner. Is funner a word? Fun, funner, funnest? No, that's not a word. I want it to be more fun. Most fun? Mostly fun? I don't know how I got a college degree, but whatever. I want it to be more fun, more interactive. I kept Halloween very low key because I did not want to overwhelm any of the students. And I'm proud to say no students were overwhelmed by any activity and craft that I did. And the teacher and the assistants were so happy. Like, you could tell the teacher was just like, "This is nice." And well, the teacher's assistant kept saying, she was very vocal. She's like, "We've never had a room parent. And it's so nice to have this." Like, she was like, "Wow, look at this. I love that you got that. Like, our buddy here loves to use um what are these things called? Like those crayons because of the way he can hold it and blah blah blah. Oh, that person loves doing that. Oh, that person." Like, I literally got things for all the kids, not knowing that's what they like, and that makes me very happy. So yeah, I'm going on a whole tangent, but I cannot wait to start planning for the winter party. So, like I said, if you have any ideas, let me know. Other than that, how is school going other than that? Speech therapy, he's doing well. I could tell his language is blooming between home, the classroom, the speech sessions, and our private speech sessions. We're all seeing a bloom of gestalts coming in, and we're like, this is great. So I talk about it all the time on my TikTok and my Instagram page about Gestalt language processor. So my son is a GLP, Gestalt language processor, and he learns language in chunks of phrases, not just single use words. With Gestalt script, so like him scripting from language processing. So he learns by chunks of phrases. So hearing things over and over, that constant repetition. So let's go outside. He'll say, go outside. Let's go outside. And then eventually, he'll start saying, let's go outside from that. I hope I explained that correctly. But Gestalt language processing is a language acquisition style where children memorize phrases and then break them down to learn individual word meaning. Memorizing phrases from media, from like the tablet, from movies. So like to infinity and beyond, or like we're happy you're here. Gestalts are chunks of language that a learner uses as a single unit, such as do what you want. But anyways, the gist is he's a Gestalt language processor, and he learns language by chunks, and then he's able to break it down. So like he'll start saying things like if I start saying, okay, let's catch the bus, eventually he's gonna script, okay, let's catch the bus. And every time we go out, instead of saying goodbye, he'll just say, let's go catch the bus, because in his mind, let's go catch the bus means we're going outside. Eventually, after constant repetition and actually catching the bus, he will break down, let's go catch the bus, to let's go catch the fly. Let's go catch the ball. It kind of like builds up and he's able to break it down. Or when I say let's go, he'll be like, let's go to the car. Does that make sense? Am I making sense? But anyways, all in all, Gestalt language processor. That's why we don't really have limitations on the tablet. To each their own with that. I know what works for him, and unfortunately, screen time has been helping his development of language. I do limit it at nighttime, like by 5:30, 6 o'clock the latest. I'm like, we're done, because being on the screen past 6 o'clock and sometimes even past 5:30, he has a hard time going to sleep. He has a hard time staying asleep in the middle of the night. If he has too much screen time, yeah, we're in trouble. So I have been limiting it to screen time in general, like TV and tablet. I've only been limiting it for them to have in the afternoon. So the moment he gets home from school, which is very tasking for him, like, let's be honest, it's very tasking. The moment he comes home, he has his tablet, he has his little treats, and then we're off to relaxing, no demands, because he's been placing all these demands have been placing him throughout the day. So with all that, he's doing really well in speech sessions. He actually just had his 6 month evaluation for the year, and he has made some progress. So I know they're going to increase his goals. So that makes me happy, because that's like another thing. If the insurance doesn't see any progress, they start denying claims and coverage, which is terrible. But okay, insurance companies. Moving along, doctors. He has a new neurologist. Now, my little rant with that is this facility's tried to move my child with a psychiatric technician. I went to see a developmental pediatrician to a neurologist, and you're going to put me down to a psychiatric, he's not on medication. So when I questioned it, I asked, can I get like a neurologist, heck, an APN, or another developmental pediatrician that's in the practice? And they were like, they didn't flat out tell me no, but they said that every doctor and clinician that is in the practice is well aware of autism and ADHD and this and that. And I said, that's fine. That's not my question. My question is, and my concern is, why would a child that is not being medicated see a psychiatric individual? He's not on meds, and I don't plan on putting him on medication. So again, why would they see someone like that? You can book me with a neurologist that's available. And they did. You have to advocate for your kid. If your kid is not on meds, okay, fine. Like, if they are on meds, then go with, a psychiatric person. But if you have no plans on putting your child through a medicational treatment, there's no reason why a psychiatric person needs to be on your team. He is autistic. He doesn't have a mental disorder. He's not on meds. Why would they put me with a psychiatric person? That didn't make sense. So you always need to advocate for your kid. So that's what I did. We saw a neurologist, and it's all virtual appointments because she's not available in Jersey, but she's like in the network, and totally love her. I love her for multiple reasons. She was very validating. She understood. And I love doctors, pediatrician, nurses, any medical staff that has children, that they're a mother and they have children. Because some of these pediatricians, developmental pediatricians, and I don't know, they're, I guess because they have older kids and they do things completely different than what us young moms, well, not young because I'm not young, us moms to littles, they just hit different. They have this level of understanding that's very nurturing, and that's what I want on my son's medical team. I don't want someone that they're like, oh, my son is older now. Back in my day, I don't care what you did back in your day. We're in modern times now. So that was my little rant. I'm so pressed by Doctor Number One, but I'll give him his flowers for validating that I suspect autism in my son. But anyways, doctor was amazing. She was like, you're doing everything right. Like, you're his best advocate. You're doing everything right. I will see you in 6 months. And if you have to wait for 7 or 8 months, whenever it's available for you, that's fine. We're good. Love it. There's like, you have to see these doctors so that they can put in their little computers, needs to continue speech, needs to continue this, needs to continue that. So when insurances get it, they're like, okay, we're going to expect something. So when the speech therapist puts their evaluation of what's expected, they're like, okay, yeah, we're going to continue it. I'll rant about insurance companies at a later time, but the work that us autism parents have to, or even parents who have children with a disability or an issue, it's very tasking, but it's worth it. That's why you are your best child's advocate. If you don't like a doctor or a nurse or whoever, speak your mind respectfully, give factual evidence, not emotional, and you start getting your way. That's like the best tip I can give. Get the emotional component out and stick to facts. Because I kid you not, I don't think that the scheduler really wanted to schedule me with someone else, because the first time they like moved me, it was to one psychiatric person, and then another time it was another psychiatric person. I was like, no, why do you keep moving me to a psychiatrist? Like, that's just weird. Let's like use our brains. And I get they're just doing their jobs, but at the same time, sometimes you have to like speak up and understand the why. to why you're doing certain things. That's an HR tip. Anyways, moving along. I've mentioned that he's still potty trained. There's no regression. So like that's really nice. He is sleeping throughout the night. Sometimes, like I said before, if he is too much on the tablet, then it just becomes too much for his body to kind of just regulate to go to sleep. Trying to think if there's anything else. I don't think there's anything else. I think this concludes the episode. I hope you guys learned something from this. I also didn't have breakfast or coffee. I kind of just dropped my son off from school while the bus picks him up. Came inside, grabbed my equipment, and sat down. Oh, we have a wedding to go to this week. And I'm bringing my kids along with me. So that would be fun. Bringing them along to rehearsal dinner. They're very excited. So I'm counting my blessings that it will go well. I'm prepared for it to not go well just because it might be so demanding for both my kids. But that's okay because my sister-in-law is tagging along with us to watch the kids while we go to set wedding. But I'll let you guys know next week when we record. So that concludes In My Son's World. Next week, Kathy and I will be coming on the podcast to end season 2. And then we're going to take a break because the holidays are coming up and, well, she has a whole baby to bring to this world. So she has a lot going on. She has a lot of exciting things going on. The holidays are coming up. So we just want to be able to enjoy the holidays, kind of like what we did last year. So we'll see you next week. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this episode was helpful to you guys. If not, let me know in the comments. Email us what would you like to know about our motherhood journeys and all. But we will see you next week. Bye.